Good morning. I apologize for the delay. I'm going to try to get us on Facebook now. Hope everybody's doing better than I am today. I'm actually doing fine, just a little bit of high-tech excitement today, and hopefully things will work out here in just a minute. I hope that me having to hop off and hop back on didn't throw too many people off, and that you're able to join or rejoin the stream here. Just for the first time in a while, needing to get on Facebook while I'm already on. Boker Tov, and good morning. It's good to see some greetings there already this morning, and wonderful to have the opportunity to greet you and to be together here this morning as we wish one another Boker Tov, a moment together from Temple Sinai Congregation of Toronto for us today to connect, to reflect, and to remember. And having had a little tech bobble this morning, just going to pause for a moment and breathe and say, wow, am I lucky to have the challenges that I do and the opportunities that I do and the support that's all around me in getting up and facing each new day and sharing the beginning of each day together here. So let's do that. Let's just sort of begin together with our blessings for the morning, for this amazing blessing that says, wow, my physical body is in fact amazing and in so many ways works miraculously. And I hope that's true for you today. I'm thinking, as we'll say our prayer for healing later, of those for whom things don't feel so miraculous today. And the rest of us, we need to really appreciate what we have and have it empower us to strengthen and share with others. So let's join together in the English of Asher Yatzah today. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. And today let's join in Elohai Neshama in Hebrew before we say it in English. Modeh for those who identify as male and Modah for those who identify as female. Elohai neshama shenatata bi torahi, ata barata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi, ata meshamra b'kirbi, kol zman shan ba b'kirbi, modeh ani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai ve'Elohei avotai, ribon kol ha'ma'asim, Adon kol ha'neshamot, baruch ata Adonai, asher biyado nefesh kol chai, baruch kol b'sar ish. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And let's join together in the Hebrew of the blessing for Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. V'arev na Adonai Eloheinu, et divrei Toratcha b'finu, v'fi amcha beit Yisrael, v'niyeh anachnu v'tze'etzaenu, v'tze'etzei amcha beit Yisrael, kulanu yodei shemecha, v'lomdei Toratecha lishma, Baruch atah Adonai, amlamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. And having said the blessing for Torah, for learning and for tradition and for the opportunity to hold up our tradition like a mirror each day so that we might see ourselves and our opportunities and responsibilities more clearly, let's join together in this text that is put here for our initial reflection. Elu dvarim she'en lahem shiur. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmelut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Ashkamat bet midrash shacharit ve'arvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. Achnasat ochim, to welcome the stranger. Ubikur cholim, to visit the sick. Achnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms. Ulevayat hamet, to keep faith with the dead. Biyun tefillah, to pray with sincerity. Baba'at shalom ben adam lachavero, to make peace when there is strife. The Talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. I'm feeling the need for a little more liturgy this morning, and so let's join together in Baruch She'amar, and we'll share a psalm today as well. Let's join together in the modern interpretation of Baruch She'amar on the right side of your screen. Baruch She'amar vaya haolam. Blessed is the one who speaks, that we might listen. Blessed is the one who acts, that we might be witnesses. Baruch hu u'baruch shemo. Blessed is the one who decides, that we might accept. Blessed is the one who has mercy, that we might live. Baruch she'amar v'haya haolam. Blessed is the one who removes the darkness, that we might see. Blessed is the one who lives forever, that we might believe. Blessed is the one who saves and delivers, that we might be redeemed. And let's join in our Psalm of Gratitude in Psalm 100 this morning. Again, there's so much packed into these Psalms. The Hebrew, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line says, in referring to our connection to God, lo anachnu, that literally we belong to God, because it has lo with a vav, meaning the sense of the human beings belonging to the Divine One. And yet the actual written version of the psalm has an aleph after the lamed. When talking about God, it says lo anachnu, that we need to remember that we are a wonder and yet so limited, and yet not unified, and yet we must focus on our questions, because we'll always have more of those than we have answers, and that we should have a sense of gratitude for our limited and amazing nature, rather than constantly reaching for perfection, which is in its own way at times a good goal, but beyond our grasp. Let's take a moment and say, wow, I'm grateful for what I am and what I can do in my life today. Let all the earth sing to the eternal, find joy in the service of the sacred. May every word lead to an encounter with the divine presence. May we sense the Holy One within us and in all creation. Discover sacred purpose in every moment. The eternal is our infinitely capable creator. God forms our purpose and potential. Enter the gates with gratitude, bring praise and thanks, and bless the divine name. The divine love of the eternal allows us to find good in everything and strengthens the faith of each generation. Well, every generation is joined together in the Shema, in affirming our connection to the Holy One, the one who is unity and who is unified. And so let's join together in that, as well as remind ourselves in these 2 paragraphs of the Shema that we should be trying to use a lens of loving the world and others as we go about our deeds today, and that we should do so with a profound sense of both responsibility and gratitude for our freedom. Let's join together in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha. Ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. Ve'shivtecha bevetecha uvelechtecha baderech uveshochpecha uvkumecha. Ukshartam laot al yadecha vayu letotafot ben enecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם. ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. Well, we pause for a moment to reflect a bit today on the characteristics that we hope to work on this particular week from Spiritual Accounting, from the work of Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Satanov, in his book Cheshbon HaNefesh, and especially because these characteristics, especially the first one, were chosen also because of this week's parsha. I want to talk a little more about righteousness today, but in doing so, let's just share these two characteristics because I really think they do go together, pushing us not only to seek out righteousness and righteous behavior in tzedek and tzedakah, but to do so in a focused and productive way, not merely when we feel a moment at which we are at leisure to do so. So please join me in reading this week's two characteristics. Righteousness. What is hateful to you, do not do to others. Productivity. Always find something to engage in toward your own good or the good of others. Don't allow a moment of your life to be lost without purpose. Later in the week, maybe we'll talk a little more about productivity. But today I really want to talk a little bit more, not just about the English word righteousness, which seems just too unusual, too outside the daily mainstream to be our focus for the word tzedek. Because this week's Torah portion, Shoftim, which I got to chant a little bit of yesterday when we had the privilege of welcoming a couple who are having their wedding this week for a blessing, which I really found meaningful, and I hope that you did as well. This week's parsha is Shoftim, Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sharecha, that we need to establish for ourselves. Judges, those who decide cases on a basis of justice, and shotrim, those who see that the law, that justice is not merely a concept, but something that is truly carried out, something that exists in our world. And then that leads only a couple of verses later to the famous phrase, tzedek tzedek tirdof, leman tichya v'yarash sat haaretz, that you shall pursue justice. Literally repetition, justice, justice shall you pursue, that you shall have a long life and inherit the land. It's an interesting concept. It's pointed out by Rashi and by the commentators on Rashi that the beginning of this week's parasha seems to be talking to the actual judges and magistrates. Many of the phrases, and we'll talk more about them on Thursday, seem to address the system of justice, and that it is an absolute obligation, the part of any society that's going to call itself a fulfilled or real or moral society, to have a well-developed and responsible and fair and truthful justice system. And the justice system itself is important. It's noted, though, in these commentaries, that it's not merely the responsibility of those involved in the justice system to actively and eagerly pursue justice. That, in fact, it should be each of our goals to see not only that we live a life of justice, but that we show respect in our life for truth, that we seek out individuals of fine character, and that we maintain high expectations of ourselves and of those who would be our leaders, and especially of those who would lead us in manners of justice, and not to compromise our sense of what we expect or what we are willing to. This is a particularly important issue in the world today, because I think this is an area where our society and where Western societies in general, including Canada, have significantly fallen down. The degree to which we've acted as if truth can be a matter of opinionated debate. During this time of the pandemic, which even as things open up, we still very much are in the same kind of a time. It's amazing to me that even knowing how serious this time is and the scientific facts that we do know of what's going on, we then look at our local school system that seems to be opening up in a way that really doesn't seem to be driven by excellence and truth and awareness. That we look at the political leaders in our system, locally, provincially, federally. And I think we need to ask ourselves, in the spirit of this Torah portion, what are we willing to accept, and how much will we expect of our leaders, especially on matters of truth and matters of honesty, in the distancing themselves from inappropriate and dishonest behavior. All of these matters are matters that are not merely frosting on top of a cake. These are the cake. That it is our obligation as human beings, and especially in our qualities this week and in the Torah portion this week, as Jews, to demand more, always to demand more of ourselves on matters of truth and justice, of those who would call themselves our leaders on matters of truth and justice, and to not have that get lost in the back and forth, the shaklavataria of partisan politics, as if those matters are of greater importance than the core of basic human and legal ethics. Our Torah portion pushes us in this way. The idea of tzedek, of righteousness, and us working on that this week pushes us this way. And so I hope this week we can accept that push. We can look truthfully at our lives, at those around us, and say, wow, I need to expect more of myself and more of those people who are around me. And it's a challenging thing to do, but I think an important area for us to challenge ourselves. We live during challenging times of pandemic and illness. And while I certainly think of those affected directly by the pandemic, the echoes of the pandemic caused so many to be ill and alone in hospital, so many who are facing a challenge, a difficulty, issues of illness and aging and surgery that I'm thinking of this morning. And let's really be with them and do what we can to support them and their loved ones during this difficult time, together with all those who stand on the front lines for us as we turn to these words of refuah. Mishiberach Avotenu Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sara Rivka Leah v'Rachel, lo yirapeh et kol makotenu. Yeh ratzon milfenech Adonai Eloheinu, lachal imam l'rapotam, yishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema, v'teret shalom, and Omar, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and together we say, Amen. And so, having had the opportunity today to connect and to reflect, we now take a moment as we remember, recalling the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we extend our condolences to the families of Helene Frankie Springer, Margot Grossbane, Rabbi Mark Shapiro, Jan Siegel, Bella Yakubovich, Edith Grossman, Terry Fern Rossman, and Alan Dubras. And on your site, on this 28th day of Av, on the 18th day of August, 2020, we remember Harold Kaplan, Benjamin Lewis Feldman, Frida Rose Granitstein, Albert Phillips, David Sirota, Tilly Shapira, Robin Shiner, Harry Silver, John Rollo Thompson, Ann Walls. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a blessing to us, together with all those who are in our hearts this morning as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope in the Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash meraba, ve'alma divra chirute, ve'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayedecho be'Yisrael, ba'gala v'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehe shme rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mumav, hu yaseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, amen. Well, let's go out there and make today a day where there's a little more justice in the world and where we seek out truth and are agents of justice in our own daily activities. Have a great day. Boker tov.